All right, we have officially started our recording. So last week, many of you were on, and if you weren't, then we just kind of catch you up. We talked a lot about kind of food is fuel, right? And we want to start having that healthier mindset when it comes to food. We then also talked a lot about structural tension and kind of looking at your current reality, where you're at right now, and then your desired outcome, where you want to be. And then that gap in between is what we really want to start working on, though. And that's where kind of having that underlying structure is going to come into place of moving you forward, habit by habit, incremental changes over time to take you from that current reality to that desired outcome. And that's where many of us as coaches, we really come in to try to help you walk through that with you. Because many of us, when we start, Carol. It feels like a little bit of like this rickety bridge, and we watched Shrek last night, and I felt like that was such a great example of, we have little kids, so a lot of my references are kids movies. But do you remember that scene where they're going over that rickety bridge and the donkey's kind of like facing the opposite way, and he's like, I can't do it, and Shrek just keeps like wiggling the gate or the bridge, and he just, before he knows it, he's like through it and over on the other side. And so we as coaches want to help you get through and off that rickety bridge, but we also really desire to help you create a strong underlying structure so you get to continue to move forward and have some stable surfaces to get you there. I was actually going to have my sweet friend Liz pop off to share kind of her testimony this week, and then we had kind of talked a little bit about that, of moving from living and operating out of emotions and starting to operate more out of structure, and using these like 6 inches between our ears to really cue in to get us out of the crazy cycle and into structure, so that we get to use our rational brain and not just our like kind of crazy animal brain that just says like, yeah, our lizard brain, as Dr. A puts it a lot. Do you mind popping off and go ahead and share a little bit about your story? I think it's really going to inspire.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm going to see if I can figure out my view here. Okay. I don't necessarily want to stare at myself, but I'm trying to figure out what I can see and what I can't see. Okay. So, so Megan, thanks so much for having me share, or asking me to share. And I'm going to just tell a little bit of my story of kind of how I got started in this journey, where I was, where I am, where I'm headed. It's kind of great timing for me in terms of what I'm focused on currently in my health journey, to just talk a little bit about some of that structure. So I'll kind of get to that towards the end, and just kind of share a little bit about what that's looking like for me right now. And hopefully that can just be a benefit to anyone who's listening. So I've been, let's see here, I started the program just a little over a year ago. It's been not quite a year and a half, and about a month into, I decided to coach. So I've been coaching just under that amount of time, which is crazy to think about. It's like you get this awesome experience, and then you just want to dive in and start paying it forward. So that's what I decided to do. I came to our program primarily with the goal of losing weight. And I was totally one of those people who, first of all, I had all these ideas in my head. I thought it was a diet. But I also kind of thought that I myself personally was just not capable of making it happen, because I had been trying for a number of years to lose that weight that I came into the program with. And so I was so focused on that, I didn't have any really grasping of understanding that health is so much more than that. So that's one of the huge takeaways I've had from this program. But I came in with baby weight to lose. I had 30 pounds of just, baby/life weight. And I had spent probably 2 to 3 years kind of feeling like I was doing everything I could to try and to rid myself of that excess weight, and couldn't, like I said, even really look past that to be able to come into some of the other aspects of health that we can walk into. Because as you know, once you start our program, you come to find out that so many of us come with a weight loss goal, but that's really just the first step in the process. So I came and I was I'm going to do it, but I'm going to play the Vikings analogy. I was totally the Vikings on the last 10 seconds of the game, throwing the Hail Mary when I started the program, because I was sick of trying things and I was just kind of done with trying things, but I didn't feel like I was quite ready to give up yet last night. And so I told my husband, this is the last thing I'm going to do. But I just feel like I need to try this one more thing. And I really trusted Meghan too, who's such a dear friend, and trusted that she would be able to help me if anybody could help me. So anyways, I came into the program skeptically, but it was so amazing to step into it and to follow the structure of it and to find that within 5 days I was experiencing results that I had never seen in the 2 to 3 years. And so, I don't know where everybody's at in their health journey. And I know some of you are very early. And so just be encouraged that those results are coming as you follow the structure. And the thing that I realized right then and there at that around 5 day mark, when I felt like my pants were looser and I knew that if I kept doing what I had started doing, that I was going to reach my goals. I started to realize that, I really had internalized this idea that I was not capable of this, and it kind of carried over into a lot of other areas of my life. And I think that is why this journey has been so powerful for me, is that it helped me to start understanding and seeing that I was capable of things that I hadn't really thought I could do before, I could accomplish before. So that's kind of where my story starts. And it actually, the roots of my story go back even further than, I had baby weight to lose. It really stems back to childhood and to never having developed healthy habits and having developed some habits of disease, like we talk about in the health habits, healthy, what do we call it? Habits of health system. Thank you. Oh my gosh. And so, when I think about what is kind of probably the key aspect of the program that's been most impactful for me, I really have a soft spot in my heart for those fuelings and that structured nutrition, because that's what got me some really fast results and helped me to see that I was capable of this. But when it comes right down to it, what really made the most lasting impact on my life, and is continuing to make that lasting impact as I live out my optimal health journey, because I lost my weight, and finished my weight loss almost a year ago. And now I'm almost a year into optimizing. And so what really has solidified that journey and that process for me is that habits of health system. And so as I, continued past that 5 day point of starting to experience the results, I started to see that, there were some things that needed undoing and that there are some things that needed addressing. And so while I won't by any means say that I'm perfect now sitting here at this point in my optimizing, I've made so much progress. And one of the things that I love that I've learned is that, I don't need to put all of my time and energy and effort into 100% of my process. I need to focus it into the areas that are a challenge, because there are pieces of my journey and parts of my, habits that I have that are not difficult and aren't needing a lot of time and effort and energy. But if I can identify where the areas are that I do struggle, I can focus my time and my energy, my efforts there. I can look at creating new habit loops in those areas and let the rest of it take care of itself. So that's been really awesome to just kind of target my focus. And as I mentioned, I love that we are an optimal health program. And so that, going forward, I can continue to optimize. And I think, kind of coming into some of the idea of, the structure and things, that's really what our habits of health system walks us into is a structure, a foundation. We talked a lot about structural tension last year and, or last week, sorry. And what the system does automatically just by virtue of following it is walk you into that structural tension and that kind of process of setting a goal and then breaking it down and taking the steps towards it. And so it's kind of cool because, like I said, the timing is really nice for me to share a little bit on this topic, because this last week, I've had the opportunity to do just a ton of prayer and reflecting on my journey to this point and where I want to go. And one of the kind of the really big takeaway for me in this last like week or so, I was able to kind of get away for a little bit, spend some time just like journaling, praying, reflecting, thinking about what I want to do and what I really need to do to kind of have my priorities straight and continue moving forward. And it's been really cool because it's become really clear to me that one area that I need a lot of focus right now is on exercise. And so what I came to realize is that I have not made exercise a rock in my schedule. And so my plan going forward is to do that. And my plan is to, say that there are these certain things that are priorities and non-negotiables. And instead of letting it be to, you know what, when I have time, I'm going to jump on the elliptical, I'm going to run to a Pilates class, and not just, scheduling it like once a week, but scheduling it 5 to 6 times a week so that I have that established. And, I think the piece that's even more impactful for me and hopefully for everyone who goes through this journey themselves is thinking in terms of the idea that, what I've really come to realize is that I, as a person, as an individual, am worthy of like setting this time aside proactively and really taking care of myself, because I can't take care of my family, my kids. I can't play out all these other roles well if I'm not prioritizing myself, and not in a selfish way, but in a proactive way. And so I think that's the beauty of what we can learn when we really dig into kind of our own needs and our own process, and doing it through our system just kind of guides you there. So that's kind of what I've got for you.
So good, Liz. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I popped it in the chat of like, what do you most desire? I think it would be fun to hear from everybody, because what you're talking about and what we're all wanting to start achieving. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I remember even experiencing when I first started the program too, was all of a sudden I had a lot more mindfulness over my choices and saw that I was empowered to not live completely out of emotion, but to like change some of those to move me forward to where I actually wanted to go. And that was another one of the key things that I was going to kind of talk about tonight. Even for many of us, if we're truly honest, and I would think this is just because of our world and because of our culture, like most of us eat based on our emotions, even whether it's we're happy, we're sad, we're bored, we're pressured, we're stressed, we're celebrating, we're pop in, like, what would you say are some of your emotional triggers that have, oh, I got quieter, let me up the volume, sorry. So that you can start identifying those triggers so that you can then also increase your mindfulness to make the different choices regarding that. So a lot of us we kind of turn to comfort foods when we start experiencing those emotions. And a lot of it is because we experience some calming effects as we're taking those in, or because of those associations that we've created and those habit loops that we have built, because we feel the strong emotion, right? We get that cue. It has us develop this craving. So we give in to whatever cue, the comfort food that you think will help you in that. We get some pleasure, we get some relief, even if it's for 3 seconds. That's really all our brain needs sometimes. And then we've created this whole crazy cycle and this crazy loop, and this craving is intensified, or that bond is intensified because you got that relief, even if it was just for a second. So I would love to hear, so let's see a couple of them that have popped in here. Celebration and reward. Yeah, that's a huge one that most of us don't really consider. Most people, when they think of emotional eating, they think of it in terms of like stress or sadness. But I would say in our society, a lot of times it is usually more out of like celebration, socializing, rewarding ourselves. It can definitely be some huge ones though, based on stress and sadness. I know Brandon, when he first started the program, I'm going to out you on this one.
The pancake story.
Yeah, the pancake story.
I had grown up eating pancakes with my dad on Saturday mornings because he was gone Monday to Friday and I didn't really get to spend any time with him. And so Saturday mornings he would make pancakes. And on the first weekend on program, I started a habit of making pancakes on on Saturday morning, and that was before plan. And I was journaling about it, and I was starting to cry because I couldn't have pancakes. And it started to realize, like, she came down, she's like, well, you can have pancakes. There's pancakes on the plan. Like, what are you really after? And that's kind of what I wanted to say is I was lonely, or I was missing my dad. And so I ate in remembrance of that time, but I wasn't really getting that satisfaction. I wasn't really applying the right way of using it, I guess. And so it meant food to me, and food meant remembering my father, but it was food. It wasn't my dad. And so I wanted time with my family, not time with food. And so it was like assigning the real thing that I'm after, and going after that versus getting it through food. So if you're happy or sad or whatever, I mean, it's not necessarily bad to be sad. So needing comforting, what you get out of food isn't comfort. It's nutrition. Go to your spouse, go to family for that comforting. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah. And that was what we really, really noticed for myself. And that's what the reason for this call tonight, even because I've been talking to a number of clients that they started to have some of those intense emotions. They maybe had a conflict with their spouse even. And so it was like, I just want to go and eat this, even though I'm not physically hungry. I don't need this. I'm satisfied. And so the more that you can have that mindfulness and be able, I would say one of the key tools that we really learned and adopted from Dr. A, and if you have not read his free ebook, Stop, Challenge, Choose, I highly recommend you read that. If you don't know where to find it, just reach out to your coach and ask them. But the key tool, again, Stop, Challenge, Choose. So we're all going to continue to have those intense feelings or emotions, right? The emotions are not going to go away. What we can choose to do, though, is respond to them in a different way. So you're going to have that strong emotion rev up. You're going to have a craving come on, and just know that that's human nature. That is going to happen. So you can kind of ride it like the waves, like you know that that's going to come. What you can do, though, again, is to have that pause and that mindfulness to cue your brain in to think rationally of, like, what am I actually feeling here? What is my true need? What is my emotion that I'm feeling? For Brandon, in that pancake example, it was just like, I have associated food with connection for so long. Yeah. And so to be able to then pause and say, all I really am craving is quality time with my children. What else will create quality time with my children aside from just pancakes? Yeah. And that's kind of a silly example a little bit, but
it wasn't silly to me. It was, but and it can be applied to so many different things. Stop. What am I feeling? This is what I'm feeling. I'm hungry. No, challenge that. I'm not hungry. I want connection. And now I'm going to choose connection. I still have to eat, but I'm going to choose connection. And so that was over and over and over and over again. I mean, that was a 25-year habit loop, right? That kept getting spun around. So, I mean, think about how powerful these are, because you don't think about it and it just runs in the background. It's like this program that runs in the background. So it's hard to challenge them, but grab those thoughts and look at them.
Exactly. And examine them. And like I said, look at what are you actually, the emotion you have and the need you have based on that. And usually if you just kind of pause for long enough to say, when I reward myself with food, I don't meet this need. And so find what your mantra is. So mine, one of my things was, I would say, I love you more than pizza, talking to myself. Because it was just in that moment of pause to say, this is not going to meet my need. Yeah. This is usually one of my main triggers was out of loneliness or out of feeling maybe misunderstood, or a lot of times too boredom, because I was, at home and just was bored and I had idle hands. And so, but the more I could identify the truth, emotion and feeling I had, and could put in a new reward system. So that was what I was also really wanting to chat with you guys about. And I would love to hear what, for you, it's different for everybody, but if you could create your comfort menu. So we're thinking of replacing, the comfort foods that were not moving us forward, that didn't meet the need, that didn't make us feel good, that took us further and further away from that healthy lifestyle that we wanted to live. And we put in place a new comfort menu of things that move us forward in our health, actually meet the need. What would you start to put on there? For me, one of mine is to go for a walk. If I am feeling stressed or pressured, if I can just get outside, get some fresh air. It's not always realistic with the weather, but find what are some of yours? your
love
comfort.
California.
Yeah. I know a lot of women, they'll paint their nails or they will take some deep breaths. A lot of times if you're feeling the emotion, if you can identify it and it's loneliness, what if you reached out to a friend? That's what a lot of my clients were starting to do, is they would identify these emotions. So then they would reach out and call, and then that was meeting the need. So then they didn't even have that desire for that food anymore. So pop into the chat. Oh, fun dance music. That is such a good one, Amy. I was even going to say, like, have a playlist ready to go when you're feeling certain emotions.
I can see that, Amy.
Yep. The dance parties, right?
I snuck
Create
in one night.
something.
Megan was dancing with the boys, so fully engaged, ponytail whipping around. It was awesome.
But yeah, great music is a key one. I know that music so changes my mood. Go outside, journal. I would even say, like, sometimes journaling what the emotions and the ties and connections, because that's what happens a lot of times with this program, is you start to realize how many of the emotions you had tried to numb with food. And we have found you cannot selectively numb. So if you're trying to numb sadness or loneliness, you end up also numbing joy. And you also numb all these other key emotions you want to be feeling in their fullest. Right. So the more that you can start the numbing aspect of it and just start really feeling the emotions and working through them to, again, meet the true need that you have, the better the results are going to be long-term, and the new habit loops and the new associations you'll be building. So, I mean, this isn't always easy work, guys, right? Like, this is trailblazing, and this is creating those new pathways in your brain.
And it is mentally fatiguing. You're going to want food still, because that's what you've told your body over and over and over again, and it's mentally draining, but it will pay off. It will pay off, obviously, in your waist size, but in healthy habits, which is what we're trying to create here.
Exactly. I'm loving some of the ones that are popping in here. Photography. I love going and taking some pictures. Art journaling. Oh, Christina, yeah, you would get along so well with Erin. She is big into art journaling, but those are great. So I would even, and Anne too. Yeah, that's awesome, guys. Yeah. So keep these coming.
If you notice too, a lot of this stuff will move you. All of it, it's either creative or you're using a different part of your brain, which takes you out of your limbic system. It takes you out of that part of your brain. So you're having to focus and concentrate, and that stops the instinct. I don't know how to say it, but it takes you out of that part of your brain
into the rational part of your brain. And then usually when you have just that enough of that pause, that stop, challenge, and then choose something different, again, you're building these new, stronger associations. So you're going to be healing a lot of those emotional bonds that you had with maybe the unhealthier foods and creating a much healthier response system. I would say keep these going and make your own. I would love to see, so last time we talked about creating that structural tension chart. Create this week your comfort menu. What are going to be on your go-to, your comfort menu that you'll be able to pull from? So if you all of a sudden you're doing that stop, challenge, choose, and you're identifying, when I feel this emotion, I'm going to choose this activity, this action. So I think that would be so key in moving all of us forward for this next week, and would love to regroup and hear what are some of the new things that you added to your comfort menu, and how did it help you this week to break some of those unhealthy emotional bonds you have to food, to build new, healthier associations and be that trailblazer.
Yeah, and honestly too, it would be great because I need ideas. I want more ideas. I tend to get into new things, like into new hobbies and things like that. So that's something that I need. I need more of that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Cheaper ones.
Well, awesome, guys. I hope this call was valuable. Please always give us some feedback of what you're learning. How is it moving you forward in your journey? And how can we just better serve and assist? Yeah, Brandon, we do need to have him teach guitar too. Many of us.
It would come off weird to be like, this is the claw chord and this is the witch chord. I don't know some of these chords. It's like Phoebe off of Friends. Everybody knows Friends.
Awesome, guys. Well, we are going to say goodnight for now, but we cannot wait to reconnect with you all next Monday. Have a great week, guys.